I'll join you live right after I finish my dinner.
Okay. Now I'm unmuted. We ready to get started?
We're ready.
Mark, Gene, Tony?
I'm ready.
All right. It's 6:01, September 22nd, 2021, and the Nahant Board of Selectmen meeting is now in session. I have quite a few things open on my agenda here, but the first item on the agenda is updates on coronavirus from Deb Murphy and John Coulon. Do you want to speak to that, Deb?
Sure. Thanks, Jean. I just got the latest report in just minutes ago for our testing. So the dates from 9/5 to 9/18, we had 440 residents tested, of which 11 tested positive. So that's our accurate for that time period. However, I can tell you as of this evening, out of those 11 people, only 2 remain active. So 9 have recovered, and we have right now 2 active cases in Nahant, which is great. So our numbers are starting to come down a little bit since after Labor Day. We've had a total for the month of September of 17 cases. And I think I mentioned before, last year at this time, in September, we had 3 cases. So although our numbers are much higher this year, right now our trend seems to be coming down a little bit. So that's good news for everybody.
Hey, Deb, is most of those breakthroughs?
So Jean, a lot of them are breakthrough cases. A couple of them have been non-vaccinated people. They seem to, like you would imagine, be the sickest people when they contract it. And a couple of them have been people who are in the age group eligible for vaccines. So we're kind of still seeing a variety of age groups contributing to these numbers. So the other thing is, I met with the school, Tony, I know you meet with them too, and I met with the school on Tuesday, and so they are preparing to begin their BINEX test and stay program, which would enable any close contact identified in school to be tested, during the school day. Come into school if you're a close contact, you have no symptoms, come into school, be tested, test negative, stay in school for the whole day. And all of the, pretty much all of the schools in the state now are up and running with that program. So, so that will be good, so that kids, because there's no remote learning this year, so that the kids will not have to be out of school if they're close contacts but are negative. So in the vaccine news, I updated our vaccination rates for everybody in town, and we have now reached officially for the whole town, all age groups, we've reached the 80%. That includes the 12 to 15. The 12 to 15 age group now, we have 84% of them fully vaccinated. And the 16 to 19, we have 99% of them. And every other age group is well over 86%. So the town has done a great job with vaccinations, except as we know, the breakthrough cases are people who have all been vaccinated. Having said that, we're preparing for our flu clinic next week. And we're having a 2-day flu clinic. We're going to start Tuesday from 3 to 7 in the town hall for people under age 65. That will be the regular flu shot. And on Wednesday from 10 to 2, we're going to have the high dose. We've only received 80 doses of our high dose so far, but I was contacted today. I had emailed them where are my other doses. We have 30 more high dose doses coming on the week of October 4th. And so we will probably use probably about 10 of those for our home visits. And then we will set up another clinic for the other 20 doses for people that still wish to get the high dose.
Who gets the high dose?
Over 65. People 65 and older are eligible for the high dose.
Okay, thank you.
So we're working on that. We have a new, we have to use a new web-based application for our flu clinics this year. So we've all been trained, and hopefully it will go smoothly. People are registering on the link that went out to everybody, and we'll see how our nurses do checking people in and giving the shot, and then logging in and saying we gave the shot, and that will go to the state, and that's how we'll get our reimbursement this year. So we're going to try to do our best job on that. And then I think, Tony, do you want to speak about the testing that's being done on Saturday? The
Yes,
COVID
thank you.
testing?
Yes, thank you. Testing will be available at St. Thomas Aquinas Church parking lot drive-through, similar to how we had testing earlier in the year, late last year. No appointment is necessary. It's open to all Nahant residents. It's free, and it's open from 12 to 4 on Saturday. We're encouraging anyone who's interested in coming to the town meeting on Monday night to, get a test on Saturday as well. And your results will be in before the meeting Monday night. Obviously, if you test positive, you shouldn't come to the meeting. But again, it's not just for people who intend on coming to the meeting. It's open to all Nahant residents.
And you do have to be a Nahant residents with a photo ID required, right?
You do have to be a Nahant resident, yes, and they'll ask you for your contact information. I believe they do check your license.
It says in my notes here that a photo ID is required. And I know you said that people would have results before the town meeting on Monday night, but is it a 24-hour results thing or? No?
I asked the question if the test will be get there before Monday. They said the latest it should be midday Monday. So
Okay.
most people, I'm sure, will get a result Sunday.
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat: is a negative test required to attend town meeting? No, but certainly, we're encouraging folks to get tested before they come to the meeting. And if you test positive, you should not come to the meeting. But you're not required to get a test. We're just providing this opportunity to just create the safest atmosphere possible, and to have, with the recent uptick in numbers, wanted to provide a local, free, convenient option for our residents.
Yeah, good timing for this, I think. John, did you have anything to add?
Yes, I attended a meeting this afternoon of Coalition of Public Health Departments on the North Shore. There are 15 of us in the coalition, and there was a lot of discussion about contact tracers and about Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and their lack of mandates and guidance. therefore, schools are turning to the local public health departments for direction. We also talked about mask mandates. Salem has one, as you may know, for the next 2 months. Yes, 2 months. Obviously, they have October happenings in their city. And we have Topsfield Fair is coming up starting October 1st through the 11th. And although they have reduced some of their hours, and there are some, there's been some paring back of vendors and such, there's obviously still a concern of how that's going to work out. We won't know until after the events are done. And for both of these, Salem and Topsfield Fair, people come from a long way away and they return to those places. So are we going to be able to track whether these are super spreader events or not? We don't know, but obviously local public health is very concerned. We're also getting word from the local public health nurses on the North Shore about the return not only of school and relations with their local elementary and secondary school systems, but also the colleges. For Salem State in Salem and Gordon College in Wenham, Endicott in Beverly, North Shore Community College in Lynn and Danvers, and in Wenham, Gordon College accounts for half of their cases. So I bring this up so that people can be aware that we're looking better and better all the time. Our numbers are being maintained. We are providing services to our community. The people we work with in the community seek us out and collaborate, our event facilities in particular. And I'm so glad that I'm involved in Nahant as opposed to what my colleagues are going through is COVID-19 all day, every day. And I told them, well, we have some other things going on in Nahant that thanks to our numbers, we can maintain what we have in Nahant, but pay attention to some other things that we want to pay attention to. Now, the state's contracts with contact tracers is coming up, and that's a big concern with our public health colleagues. But in terms of mask mandates, Salem has theirs, as you may know, and I've been in 6 Salem businesses over the past 5 days, and I was able to report today at this meeting that I observed a very high level of compliance in those private sector establishments. And people expressed to me when I asked that they were glad that there was the local mask mandate, because it took the decision out of their hands, out of the hands of the owners and managers and employees, whereas all they needed to say to anybody who questioned it is that, well, it's the law. It's what we have to abide by. And I was very glad to see a high level of compliance. So thankfully, we have each other on the North Shore to collaborate with and to commiserate with. And I did not push how glad I was to be able to work in Nahant and be able to work with Deb and nurses who assist her.
Hey, John, it's Gene. You guys have done a spectacular job. Just a question. But is there any way of getting that other 15 to 20% in for their shots? Is there any kind of a listing of those that don't have it?
Well, that's a tough one. We do engage folks. And we do try to assist the business owners in town with signage and our availability to discuss this with any employees or customers or residents. And I think that's the only way that we have to keep it out there. And certainly, if a person turns on any information medium, they're going to see that that push. Deb, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I know. I have all those numbers, Gene, and I'm looking at the latest statistics here for the vaccinators. So for an example, the people in the age group who live in Nahant of 50 to 64, we have 900 people that fall in that age group. So out of 900, 849 have been vaccinated. So, our numbers are great. 75 plus, of course, we're, 390. We've got 380 of them vaccinated. But I think my point now is, these vaccines we started giving these vaccines in January. So here we are in September. We've been giving them for 9 months now. And people who want the vaccine have certainly had opportunities to get the vaccine.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And so the people that are not vaccinated have decided not to be vaccinated. It's not certainly because of access or, unavailability. That's not the case anymore. And these people who choose not to be vaccinated, they're pretty adamant about not being vaccinated.
Yeah,
So I
understood.
think, but I think, overall, I think, our community has done a great job. We're 80% for everybody. That's just the average of all the age groups. That's really, really great compared to a lot of the other communities. And, I don't think at this point you can change people's minds. I think they're pretty set, and we'll see what happens at the flu clinic. Although I can tell you, because we're doing everything online now, that it's filling up pretty quickly. So people are still, signing up for their flu shots, which is great. And I do need to give a shout out to my new, one of my assistant health nurses, Anna McNicholas, because she's our champion for this IT production that we're doing. And she really, thank goodness she's on board, because this was a little complicated, but not for her. I will say it was a little complicated for me, but she got us up and running and helped us with our trainings and made the flyers and created the links. So it's great. It's actually great having these two assistants on board.
Well, you guys are outstanding, and the results certainly show that.
Well, let's hope the winter. I really hope that we have a really safe, healthy winter coming up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Deb and John, for all your efforts. One question before we leave the topic of health. There have been no human cases of West Nile virus in Nahant, correct?
Correct.
And it was one mosquito tested positive for West Nile.
That was
Still the case?
It was one mosquito sample, and the samples contain many mosquitoes. However, many are captured in that trap at that time. And I've spoken to the folks at Northeast Mosquito Control, and when they do get a positive sample, they increase their surveillance. And they've communicated to me that each of the samples since then has turned up negative, and that positive that was gotten was within the expected norm. So we'll continue to stress to folks to conduct themselves as if every mosquito is carrying West Nile, and use reasonable precautions, and also continue to look around for stagnant water and to dispose of it. But so far, it looks good.
Good. So your central message is be careful, avoid mosquitoes if you can, and get rid of any stagnant water around your yard. And hopefully,
Yeah.
All right, thanks. All right, I did just want to reiterate again. So we have the COVID testing Saturday, the 25th from noon to 4 at St. Thomas Aquinas Church. That's a drive-through and no appointments are required, but the 2 flu clinics on Tuesday, the 28th and Wednesday, the 29th, you do have to schedule an appointment, register and schedule an appointment. So there's a long website, there's a long link here, but your best bet is to go to nahant.org and find the link and or the QR code and scan that to sign up for an appointment. And our lauded assistant public health nurse, Anna McNicholas, can be reached at mcnicholas@nahant.org. So if that's it on the COVID updates, we can move on to opening comments. The compost area is open on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 9 to 3 p.m. 2021 Nahant resident sticker is required. Visit nahant.org for acceptable materials. Leaves and other yard waste must be in biodegradable bags or no bags. No plastic bags will be acceptable. Recycling for metal and white goods, TVs, computers is the last Saturday of each month from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon behind the DPW garage. Fees may apply. Checks only, no cash. Visit nahant.org for information on accepted materials. Curbside leaf pickup will be offered on Mondays in the month of October and November. So coming up, the only change will be on Columbus Day. That Monday will be picked up on Tuesday. Leaves in biodegradable bags only. Plastic bags will not be picked up or accepted. No open barrels, no roots, no root balls or branches bigger than 4 inches in diameter. Bags must be out on the curb by 7 a.m. on those pickup days, Mondays in October and November. The boat hauling dates will be July 6th and 7th. Contact Jocelyn Marine directly at 978-462-9717 if you'd like your boat to be hauled. All your necessary paperwork and fees must be into the town and completed before October 5th. No payments or forms will be accepted at the Nahant Town Wharf while your boat is being hauled. No boats may be stored before September 25th. Visit the Harbor Master or Wharfinger page on nahant.org for more information. So as a boat owner, one of the important notes there is no payments or forms will be accepted at the town wharf while your boat is being hauled. You got to get your paperwork and fees in prior to that. Town Hall will be closed on Monday, October 11th in observance of Columbus Day. There's a hazardous waste collection day on October 16th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon at the Lynn DPW on 250 Commercial Street, Lynn. Fees apply. Visit nahant.org or linma.gov for more information. So that's hazardous waste like oils and things like that, paint. Gene or Mark, do you have any anything you want to bring up? Any other open comments?
I don't, Josh, at this point in time, but I am glad to see all the work going on, Tony, down at the Flash Road and Spring Road courts, and it's really encouraging to see all that done. So good job, and I'm sure the town is really going to have a good time recreating when the time comes.
Yep, it's good to see that work getting done. Gene, do you have anything?
No, not really. Yeah, I guess just the air traffic situation. What were the dates on that?
I think the hearing is tomorrow, the 23rd. Is that right, Dan Script?
The information session, it's not a hearing, it's an information
sorry.
session. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because they called it a hearing a bunch of times, but it's really just information session. That's tomorrow at 5:30. That should last about 2 hours. And then no decisions will be made that night. It's just Northeastern giving up their information on the block 2 recommendations, which of course include the 2 left RNAP. And then the Massport CAC, which is the community organization, will have a meeting probably sometime in about the middle or the last half of October to sort of digest what will be discussed tomorrow and to start coming up with some sort of recommendations of their own.
Yeah, just a correction on that. It's not Northeastern, it's MIT, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry, MIT.
All right, thanks for that. I did want to bring up one item for the board to consider, not to discuss tonight. It's not on the agenda, but something for us to think about and talk about at a later date. But so we're officially in fall now as of a few hours ago. And I've been thinking about a potentially controversial topic, which is parking for out-of-towners, limited amount of parking for out-of-towners or those without parking stickers. Potentially have a limited number of paid parking spots, maybe 8 or 10 in the Short Beach parking lot, back corner, maybe a couple at Canoe Beach and a couple at the wharf. There are a few benefits which might not be immediately obvious, but well, for one thing, our electronic flashing sign is not exactly the most welcoming sign. I understand that's intentional, but I visit lots of towns and I've never not been able to park somewhere. I think it also reduces the burden on the policing potentially. It's an additional revenue stream. And it also reduces the desire for people without parking stickers to park on residential roads. We've entertained some complaints and concerns from residents that are struggling with perpetual people parking in front of their house illegally or even in their driveway. So if people had at least a limited number of parking spots where they could legally pay for their parking and provide Nahant with some residents, that would ease the burden, I think, on some of these residential streets that are getting illegal parking. So we don't have to decide right now since summer just ended this afternoon, but we'll give it some thought and we can discuss it at a future meeting.
So what are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting what I'm pondering, and I've talked to Tony about this briefly, but some kind of pay station parking. My thoughts were several spots at the Short Beach parking lot and maybe a couple at the wharf and maybe a couple at Canoe Beach. Those are the places that, let's say, the parking lots where we see the most illegal parking, I guess, or stickerless parking. So those are my thoughts, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and Mark's thoughts and Tony's too. Maybe your thought is, hell no, let's not change anything. But I just thought we should discuss it as a board.
Would that be a limited calendar like October through May or?
No, well, in my opinion, no. The idea would be summer parking.
Okay, so all year long, summer.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, Josh, and I look forward to discussing it in more detail later on, and perhaps come with a plan. I know Tony, he's been with everything going on. We are considering, doing a sign audit and all of those types of things, but all of this could sort of fit into that package. I'm also concerned about, drop-offs, particularly with Uber and Lyft now. They just drive down the Nahant Road, they start dropping off and people start getting out. And,
Right.
That's probably more of a dangerous situation than anything else. So maybe it's a drop-off area too, or something along those lines. But I think it would be a good discussion.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. That's the only unplanned opening comment I had. So we can move on to new business. We have an event request.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve, oh, excuse me, I'm one ahead right here. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request for the Johnson School sixth grade car wash and bake sale to be held on October 2nd, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the DPW parking lot.
Second,
Any discussion? Yeah, so this is a fundraiser for the class of 2022. Car wash and bake sale behind the DPW. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Antrim, aye. We have a one-day liquor license application.
I move
I
that,
move that,
go ahead, Gene.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve a one-day liquor license for the Humpa Nickel 5 Mile Road Race event at the American Legion at Nahant Life Saving Station on October 29th, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. and October 30th, 2021 from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm just glad I'm not racing you, Josh, this year.
This is your chance.
I had a question. Is that two-day event?
Yeah, I know I think they had a rain date. I didn't get a
Okay.
chance to look at the application before we got on the call here.
Commander
guys.
Fields is on the
Okay.
call.
Hey
Yep.
guys, how you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Great, great. So yeah, so we actually have, we're running the race rain or shine on Saturday. But on Friday evening, we'll be having, the pre-registration activities, where people can pick up their bibs and badges and all that stuff ahead of time. So it's, kind of an early evening thing on Friday and then Saturday afternoon.
Great.
So, Mr. Chairman, the liquor license would apply to the 30th then. Does that make sense, Mr. Chairman?
I'm not sure. So is it 2 single-day applications, Mr. Fields?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we might have to change the vote a little bit to reflect 2 liquor licenses.
Okay, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve 2 one-day liquor licenses for the Humpa Nickel 5 Mile Road Race event at the American Legion at Nahant Life Saving Station on October 29th, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. and October 30th, 2021 from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Second,
Any further discussion or any discussion?
Thank you, Bob, and the American Legion for helping out with this. This is something that, Josh and I used to do a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
Probably won't be there this year, but it's a great tradition, and I really appreciate the American Legion and you in particular helping out.
Oh, it's our honor and privilege to sponsor the race. Of course, I'm not sure everybody on the call knows, but the co-chairs of the race committee are Bobby Joe Blair and Mike Cullinan, and we are donating. The races in memory of Fran Cullinan as well. So we're looking forward to that, and all of the contributions will benefit the American Legion Welfare Committee, which supports veterans and their families, primarily illness related.
excellent.
That's great. It's wonderful to see this great tradition revived, and certainly a nice honor for Mr. Cullinan, Mark's father and Michael's grandfather. So that's wonderful.
Yep. I will say for folks to go ahead and get signed up early, please. We're looking at, we're already over halfway to what would be our break even for fixed costs in the race. So, if you're thinking about racing, please sign up, and you could just go to the website. It's all over Facebook, but you go to humpernickelroadrace.com. It'll take you right there as well. Thanks, guys.
All right, great.
Thanks, Bob.
Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Antrim, aye. Vote to authorize town administrator to sign solar agreements.
Go ahead, Gene.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize the town administrator to sign off solar agreements associated with the Johnson School.
Second.
Discussion. So, Tony, this is about solar panels being installed on the gymnasium ceiling, right?
Actually, no, actually, it's not the gym roof, but the flat portion of the school.
Okay.
Can you see this on my screen here, the Select Energy chart?
Yeah, it's a little small, but now that I have my glasses on, I can read it. Yes.
How's that, a little bit better?
Yeah.
So this is a 136 kilowatt rooftop solar project. It's a 20-year power purchase agreement. Essentially, the way that this would, if we were to pursue this project, it would produce over a 20-year period about $208,000 savings, and avoid 2,400 tons of carbon emissions. That savings is based on a fixed rate of electrical costs compared to an estimated electrical rate over the 20-year period. So as you can see in the third column, today's electrical rate is around 14 cents, 1,469. It's projected that this is based on a statewide projection of increase in electrical costs, which is actually pretty conservative. So as electrical costs increase from year to year, we would be fixed at an 11 cents PPA rate based on this project. This is also before we complete our next Green Communities project, and of course we'll be doing more green community projects down the road that are going to save us electrical usage and dollars. So the savings only compound as the more projects we do. The school committee voted in favor of this project and authorized the superintendent to be the co-signer on these documents. And the vote that you guys are taking tonight would be to authorize me to sign the documents. It is possible that this PPA may require that we go to town meeting for approval. But there are communities that have gone without it. So, without having to go to town meeting for.
So if it says it's live on Custom Live, does that mean?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Got someone unmuted here. So trying to do a couple things at once here. Do you guys have any questions while I'm trying to figure out?
Yeah. So are there any upfront and/or capital costs associated?
No, there are not.
So only savings. It sounds great.
Correct.
And, even without speculating much, if we look at just this year, where the rate is known, it's already a $6,000 saving. So this is great.
Hey, Tony, I'm sure that you and the superintendent have thought about this, but I think it's a great opportunity to work this into the Johnson School curriculum somehow. I'm sure they'll have displays and panels that the science teachers could somehow work into a curriculum to educate the kids about solar power and climate change and those types of things.
Certainly. And it's also, it's somewhat just the beginning. We have, we discussed with Select Energy about the possibility of including a battery for energy storage. The school is used as a, the word's escaping me. When we have an emergency.
FEMA shelter.
A shelter. Thank you. I don't know why that was escaping me, that word. It's used as a shelter. So in an emergency situation, we do have right now, the economics of investing in a battery don't really work out in our favor, but the state is moving in that direction. So as those incentives increase and the cost of batteries decrease, we intend to look into that down the road, which would, almost create an island opportunity for the school. So if we did run out of, if we did lose electricity, we'd have that battery storage as a backup, as well as, potentially a generator. The other positive thing of potentially adding a battery is that we can shave peak costs. So when the school isn't using the electricity that it's producing, such as during the summer or in the afternoons, it can store into that battery, and then it can unload onto the grid at night when electricity costs are really high. And so the state is looking at incentives that would produce even more savings when you help shave those peak costs. Right now, it's not really there and economically feasible for us, but it's something that might be a phase 2, and we could always add more. We have additional roof capacity, but we're really looking at when you're looking at how much kilowatts are available in the state program for us to get in, and what the interconnection availability is in our local grid. All these different factors you look into, it points us to this size project for now that produces good savings for us, but there's always more to do down the road. So the school committee and the superintendent and the principal and I are all very excited about this. Should we move forward with this project, and once we do the internal LED conversion, the school's going to be net zero and essentially be producing more energy than it consumes. So we will net meter those additional credits to reduce our electrical bills on our other public properties. So it's a huge win for the town.
Yeah. Energy storage is a big push right now in the United States and across the globe. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of developments over that in energy storage over the coming years, which could, as you said, Tony, make this even more attractive. And just a point of reference for people, this is a 136 kilowatt capacity system, and a typical house requirement is about 1 kilowatt. So just as a point of reference, that could power about 136 houses if it was at full capacity, which of course it can't be because it doesn't work at night. But just give people a feel for how much power that is.
And while I was going to talk about this during my report, but while we're on the subject, that LED conversion project is moving right along. We just signed the contract documents this past week. If you recall, we got a Green Community Competitive Grant for $200,000. I think it was like 201, included with utility incentives of around $41,000. we're going to be completing a project that's $243,000, and it's completely funded with utility incentives and state grant funding. So again, with no investment of our own dollars, we're going to convert interior lighting to LED retrofits. We have some upgraded appliances and some weatherization in our public buildings. That's going to produce about a $25,000 energy savings per year. So when you add that on top of, the LED streetlight conversion project we just did, and this solar project, we are, we're flipping our energy consumption over and saving a ton of carbon emissions and dollars. So it's we're heading in the right direction and taking advantage of, essentially no cost on our own, and these grant opportunities and utility incentives to do it. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good example of forward thinking too. So much appreciated. Any other discussion? Here is seeing none. Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Antrim, aye. All right, you are authorized, Tony.
Okay.
Ongoing business, the formation of a short-term rental committee. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I'll just give a little intro here, but at the annual town meeting, it says 2022, but it was really May of 2021. The following article was passed. I won't read the whole article, but it's to form a committee, a 5-member. Actually, I guess I'll just read the whole. The town will form a 5-member short-term rental bylaw advisory committee consisting of the building inspector, the health agent, 1 member of the planning board, and 2 Nahant citizens appointed by the town administrator to develop draft bylaws regulating short-term rentals pursuant to Massachusetts general law, blah, 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 and present those at a future town meeting. So with that, there are 2 appointments to make, and those are yours to make, Tony. I don't know if you've made those yet. I know that there's been some interest. You've gotten a few emails, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get another one tonight.
Yeah, so even up until today, I've received, especially once we put it on the agenda, renewed interest. And honestly, in the summer months, these volunteer opportunities on these committees, folks kind of get, in the summer mode and not really interested in jumping on committees at that time. So it's normal, as we get into September and October that, people start kind of saying, hey, I'd like to get involved. And so I'm not prepared to make these appointments tonight because we have so much, a couple new people coming on and asking to be considered. So I'd really like to sit down with the folks, or at least have a phone call with the folks and kind of talk to them about, what their interest is and what they're looking to do, and, what their experience is with Airbnbs, and make those decisions, make those appointments, in the next week or so. Honestly, I think that we should have, when we wrote the article, we should have had more appointments on the resident side. 2, really isn't enough. And it's something to consider if the short-term rental committee isn't able to, complete their task before next town meeting. We may want to think about expanding, the number of folks on the board. But even if you're not appointed, I think that, this is going to be an active committee, and a lot of folks are going to be involved, and I hope so, because, there's a lot of work to be done there. So, but generally speaking, the goal of this committee would be to take a look at what other rules and regulations towns have, especially, towns similar to us, smaller towns that have, a lot of rental properties, coastal rental properties, maybe that are, happening more so in the summer season. So those are the types of things that I would like the committee to look at. And there's a few, hot topics that, I know the town is eager to hear about is, safety of the building, parking related issues, trash related issues, things of that nature, capacity, things like that. So those are going to be like the top goals of what the committee is going to be looking at.
Hey, Tony, for now, could you do as the planning board has done and appoint a couple of alternates to fill in that need you think we have?
The makeup of the board is pretty clear that it's just the 5 members. Certainly more people more folks can go to the meetings, regular members, they just won't have voting power. Can the committee create kind of like a subcommittee? They would still have to meet open meeting law regulations, but the members of the committee is pretty clear with what was voted at town meeting.
Yeah,
No,
but as,
I understand that, but I don't think it would hurt to have some alternate members in there who might be able to contribute to this.
Gene, the planning board was able to appoint alternate members only because the statute said so.
Oh.
Town meeting has defined the makeup of the body, so I think we're stuck with that for now.
Thanks, Dan.
You bet.
but of course,
That's what I was trying to say, but Dan, thank you for saying it.
very,
No
very
problem.
concise answer, Dan. But, of course, all these committee meetings would be open meetings, so any interested person can attend the meeting and, if permitted, provide some comments or suggestions, thoughts.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question, probably to Dan and Tony. Is the scope of this town meeting vote limited to just sort of the Airbnbs? My interest in accessory dwelling units. Is that something that the committee could also look into at the same time, or is that a separate matter?
Well, Airbnbs is part and parcel of the short-term rentals, right? So you have Airbnbs and all the other like items. The ADUs, I suppose if they're used for rentals, it could be defined as that. But I think the ADU, additional dwelling units, or accessory dwelling units, is really meant for permanent housing.
Mm-hmm.
The ADUs are meant to try to stem the tide of the housing problem nationwide, including here in Massachusetts. So I suppose if the ADUs can be used for short-term rentals, then yes, these bylaws would apply to those, but I don't think that's the spirit and intent behind the ADUs.
Yeah, I agree with you. So Tony, with that said, maybe we could involve the planning board maybe at our next meeting, because I think the ADU issue would be something that the planning board could help us with. And I'd certainly like to discuss that with them and see if something can come out of that. As you know, a lot of communities in Massachusetts have adopted this. I think Salem just adopted it, Marblehead has, Newton has. There are a lot of communities that are jumping onto this, and I think it's really something that the town should look at.
I spoke with the chairman about a month or so ago, and he's very interested, and I think the committee as well, speaking on behalf of the committee, or the planning board, he said that they definitely want to get involved in that conversation. Unfortunately, we're kind of a month behind schedule on getting involved in that conversation because of the site plan review process with the Northeastern project.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think at our next meeting, we could definitely invite the planning board or members of the planning board to have a discussion and talk about what the next steps might be with that.
That'd be great. And perhaps, Dan, you could prepare sort of an executive summary that we could present at the next meeting with the planning board to talk about, you know, what ADUs are, what the intention is, you know, those types of things would be helpful.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. The next item on the agenda is, I'll close the thing, sorry. Town Administrator's 2021 goals. I'll provide a little background here. The Board of Selectmen decided it was important for the town administrator and the board and the town at large to have a formal performance appraisal for the town administrator, as well as establish goals for the coming year. We also, at that time, when we announced these goals, determined that we should have a mid-year review of those goals. There are quite a few goals on the administrator's 2021 plan, and it actually goes from March of 2021 to March of 2022. There are 4 main categories. Those goals were lumped into 4 main categories. The first one being, the first one being budget and finances. There's 8 goals under there. Communication, there's 9 goals there. General government administration, there's 4 there, and infrastructure. There are an additional 6 goals there. So in the for the sake of efficiency, we'll break down the status of those goals by category, and tonight go through the first category of goals, which is the budget and finances. So I don't know, do you have this open on your laptop, Tony, so we can look at it? Or should we just read through it? I can read through it if you'd like.
I have the, you know, my marked up version open.
Yeah, let's share that on the screen and then we can discuss it, you know, as we look at it. All right, you can zoom in a little bit. So when we wrote these goals, we because we can't collaborate except during meetings, the way this was handled was each selectman wrote down their thoughts on what the goals for the administrator should be. And then once we had all those, that list was consolidated to eliminate redundancies and so on. And a lot of these budget and finances goals came from Selectman Cullinan. So I might sort of defer to your leadership and experience with a lot of these things as we go through these goals, Mark.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. You know, and not only the budget and finance goals, but all of the other goals. These are not static goals. Some of them, you know, you complete it and you're done, but most of them are ongoing, as Tony is fully aware. And it's just a matter of, you know, quarterly or semi-annual reviews to make sure that we're keeping track of them. The first one was to develop and implement and manage a balanced budget. And I see, Tony, that you said you've completed that. You certainly did on May 21st at the annual town meeting. The budget is balanced and the town voted on it. So I would agree with you that you've done a great job with that. The second one would be to oversee monthly reconciliations from the town accountant, town treasurer, collector, and report findings to the Board of Selectmen. So for those who may be watching, there are two roles here and they're separate and distinct. One is the town accountant, who is responsible for taking account of all the expenditures of the town. And then the other is the town treasurer collector, who is responsible on the revenue side of collecting the revenues. So every month, just like you would at home with your checkbook, you need to balance it. So every month, the town accountant and the town treasurer collector have to get together and make sure that their books are balanced and reconciled. And as Tony said, that this is in progress and it's going on a monthly basis. Anything to add to Tony? You can jump in anytime.
Yeah. Well, I guess back to the first one, complete, it sounds like so easy. That is a huge exercise that involves a ton of people between the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, the department heads, it requires a ton of flexibility and cooperation, across the board. So when you are able to accomplish, a balanced budget that sets you up for the upcoming fiscal year to accomplish your, capital and operational goals, that is a big process and a huge goal to achieve, especially the way our budget is made up of 98% property taxes. It can be difficult to accomplish both your operational and capital goals, and for us, we've been, not only have we been completing those, but we've also been achieving the goals set forth between the FinCom and myself, as far as recommendations from the Division of Local Services, and we are, paying our debt at a above our minimum amounts. We are contributing significant dollars into our savings and stabilization and OPEB, and we are using our free cash appropriately towards one-time capital purchases or towards that debt or savings. So all of that is contributing to our bond rating. So that's a huge process, and Allison, our town accountant and finance director, who joined January 1st, right out of the gate was a huge part of that. So I commend her and for jumping into the deep end on that, and we were able to accomplish a great budget for the town. And we'll be jumping right back into that process in the next couple of months.
So, I mean, there are three components to the budget, as it says in the goal: to develop, implement, and manage. So certainly you've developed a balanced budget, you've implemented a balanced budget, and now for the next several months, you need to manage that balanced budget. And I think that you've been doing an excellent job at that. I know that in the past, we used to produce either monthly or quarterly management reports that showed for every line item that was voted on at town meeting, how much has been spent, how much is left. And, I know Allison is working on that with the new financial software systems. So that's an important component I would like to see, presented to the board, every quarter or something, where we stand in the budget process. Every quarter would be helpful, I think. We want to make sure we don't have a free cash deficit, or we're spending more money than we have, and those types of things. I mean, one of the reasons we have a town administrator is because there was a time a number of years ago when the town didn't manage their budget very well, and they had over $1 million free cash deficit, literally spending money that the town meeting had not approved. And so that's certainly not going to happen here, but those quarterly management reports focus on that. So that'll be great. I know that Allison and you are working on that. You've got new software coming out, so I look forward to that.
Even short of having the new software, Allison has implemented that on a monthly basis, sending those expenditure reports to the department heads on time. So it's been a huge help having her, and she's just been, up until a week ago, been doing both jobs on her own. So that's been a huge improvement, and I know all the department heads have been extremely happy with that.
Yeah, it's really good for you too when you have your department head meetings too, that it's one of your agenda items that you talk about every couple of weeks or so. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Yes. So the second goal here, the monthly reconciliations, like I said, Brendan and Allison have been doing this on a monthly basis and have been keeping up with it on a monthly basis, which has been tremendous, and it's a big job. We were able to close out this past fiscal year actually with a surplus. So we're certainly managing our cash appropriately. And the last step to finalize that closeout is the water sewer receivables. The money that we've collected is what we've collected. It's accurate. It's now just, figuring out where we're off by, a couple dollars here and there, $100 here and there as to what we expected to come in. And most of the time that ends up being abatements and things of that nature with water and sewer bills. So that they're in the process of that. Like I said, Allison, up until a week ago has been doing both jobs. Kelly Cook has officially started as her assistant. So I have no doubt that'll be finished or finalized fairly soon. And Allison is on the call as well if you have any more specific questions.
Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Go ahead, Tony. You can walk through this.
Okay, so the third goal is working with the financial team to complete year-end closings, reconciliations, or research any variances and prepare for the outside audit. That's actually very similar to the second goal, and that it's in progress. So it's, again, like we are, the last step here is to complete the accounts receivable reconciliation. We have not scheduled, the audit is not scheduled yet, but it will be scheduled soon. The next goal is to implement auditors' management letter recommendations in conjunction with the town accountant, town treasurer, collector, and other department heads. So the previous audit completed came with a number of management letter recommendations. It was mostly put on hold at the time because it was completed before Allison came on. So, and especially being by herself for the last 9 months, and the first 4 months of that being focused on budget, we've really kind of put it on hold so that she can, learn the town and really understand what those recommendations are regarding. But they really aren't major recommendations. A lot of them are, creation of policy, which we have in draft form. So once Allison, really, and like I said, we're not far away from it, has the time to digest those recommendations, digest the draft policies that have already been created, we can start to really look at, how do we want to maybe edit these or implement them.
Yeah, Tony, I know that in these management recommendations, so the auditors come in, they do the financial audit every year required by law. But during that audit, they typically ask the town administrator, is there anything, management issues that you would like them to look at during that audit? So it might be good that we could discuss some of the things that you might be interested in delving into. One of the things might be sort of redundancy in some of our offices to make sure that, the treasurer, collector, the two people there, that they both know their jobs. Same with the accountant, so that if something happens, we're not going to miss a beat, that type of thing. But, try to engage the board, I guess, if you could, in some of those management ideas that you would like to take a look at.
Okay. Yeah, we can go through that. I don't have the last year's audit in front of me and some of the specific management recommendations that we discussed. Time and attendance is a big one there.
Yeah.
Software improvements, making those software improvements that every office is, speaking to each other simultaneously and reducing paper and time and hours, are a big part of that. And, I don't want it to sound like we're making excuses. Certainly, staff transition, it slows down the progress of government tremendously, especially in small staffing, departments. So there's a learning curve. We're getting over that, especially Allison's a very quick learner and has already made a tremendous amount of improvement. So to how we function in the town hall. So we'll pick up on that, I'm sure, in the coming months.
Yeah, it's a really good tool for you, I think, to use with the department heads as you move forward, whether it's like looking at your employee handbook type policies, those types of things. Are you doing them? What's relevant, what isn't? Sometimes those policies get old and need to be updated. Things like that are very useful for an administrator, I think.
Definitely. Number 5, develop, manage, and implement a 5-year financial forecast for the town, as well as a 5-year capital improvement plan. So this, again, in progress. The town has always had a somewhat of a 5-year financial forecast. It's probably not as robust as Allison and I would prefer. So we will, be looking to kind of get into the weeds in that in the future. The next step, or the priority between, the 5-year financial forecast and the capital improvement plan, is the capital plan. With Kelly jumping on board in the last week, it's going to free up some of Allison's time. And we've talked about this at the last few department head meetings. And Allison's going to be meeting with each department individually at their buildings or at their properties to really look through, the capital plan and update that for us. Then that capital plan will help. With us with the financial forecast process too. So she actually just mentioned this the other day in the department head meeting, that she's gonna, after our special town meeting next week, she's gonna start scheduling those one-on-one meetings. And it's pretty standard to go through that process before we get into the operational budget development process.
Yeah, I mean, this to me is a really important one. As you said, Tony, there's always been a 5-year plan, but I think, as you say, making it more robust, I think is a really important exercise for the town. Helps the town obviously look forward beyond the next year, so we're not taken by surprise on a lot of these issues. So
I think
we're doing things that are changing that forecast. Like I mentioned, all those energy projects, or
right,
the capital improvements, and as we tick things off of our capital plan. And I don't even, I'm not sure if the last union contracts were incorporated in a definitive way than a more of a broad way. So those are the types of things that we would include as we get through it.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman and Tony, that it's one thing to have a capital plan in place, but in order to in order for it not to be sort of a wish list, to tie it into a budget, a reliable budget, I think is important. I mean, is it achievable, giving out Proposition 2.5 limitations and X, Y, and Z? Like I said, it's one thing to have a capital plan to say these are our needs, but if you can't afford them, we need to identify that.
Right. And Allison going through that process of actually going out to each, the DPW property, the police building, the, department building, the fire department building, the school, actually getting, into the library, taking a look at each of those is going to be, a huge help for her to understand what their needs are. So, I know she's excited to do that. Number 6, continue working with the financial team to ensure that all systems are running efficiently, all necessary staff are trained, and all financial networks are communicating. So we got approval at the last town meeting to borrow funds to invest in a new software system. We really want Munis. It's the best software program out there. Unfortunately, in the last, Dan has been doing a lot of research on this. We were hoping that we would be able to just hire them off of the municipal state contract, but unfortunately they came off of the state contract list in the last, I'm not sure how long ago it was, but so technically, and then we thought we maybe had another end around option for us to be able to go through a different, a bulk procurement
Cooperative.
conducted by
Cooperative.
a cooperative, but that doesn't seem like it's going to work for us either. So, our two options here are either to choose a different company that is on the state contracts, or develop a procurement, a bid that is going to produce a good price and a good product. It takes more time, but honestly, this is the type of thing that you don't do very often. It's a huge undertaking. It's a big cost up front, and I really don't want to just take the money and invest in something off of the state bid list if it's not what we really want, because we'll just be dealing with the same issue that we've been dealing with 5 years down the road. So we might take the hard road here, which delays our schedule, but in the long run, I think it'd be better for the town.
I think that the better companies are going to respond more appropriately to qualified procurement procedures than they would be just because they're on a list.
Right.
You can shape the procurement to meet Nahant's needs rather than some sort of generic application. So I would agree with you, Tony, that I would go with a qualified procurement group.
Yeah. That's going to take it's going to take some time. It's going to be a big undertaking, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. Number 7, review all fees and provide recommended changes. So this has kind of been on hold. We approved the most recent fee schedule on July 1. We're going to be working with the finance committee after town meeting on this project. And essentially what we're going to be doing is looking at the fee schedule that our surrounding communities have, comparing it to our fee schedule, and then producing a recommendation for the Board of Selectmen to consider. And I think it'll involve a public process and public input. And the idea would be to get through all of those steps so that June 30th, 2022, we have a new fee schedule that the Board of Selectmen are voting on for next fiscal year. Number 8, develop rules, regulation, and fees for temporary rentals, and we just talked about that in the earlier tonight. So that's been on hold. We're going to be formulating the committee and moving forward with that process.
All right.
Those are all the budget and finance goals.
Hey, Josh, I'd just like to add something to that, and that is, we're not even taking into consideration here the amount of time that's gone into Northeastern over the last 6 to 8 months, and still to be able to work, Tony to work his way through even half of this is an accomplishment.
Yeah, I think I agree. And, Tony's certainly on the right track. And, in general, this is, I think, a really important process for the selectmen and administrator to agree on the goals for the coming year, and in some cases, 5 years, to make sure things don't fall through the cracks. Important efforts don't fall through the cracks due to other distractions like COVID or the Northeastern issue. And it's also important to share these goals for the town with the citizens. So I believe this is a really important process for the town and this board and the administrator. So next week we'll discuss the broader topic of communication, not next week, at the next meeting. But glad to see that by and large we're on the right track with the financial and budgetary goals. So thanks for walking us through that, Tony and Mark, and looking forward to the next topic at the next Board of Selectmen meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your compliments. Again, like, there is no one person can accomplish these goals by themselves. We are blessed to have such a tremendous team at the town hall and in each department. So, without them, and plus all the volunteers too, with the finance committee and the support, for those borrowings, it all plays into our success. So I appreciate the compliment. It spreads far.
Right, but that's why your title is administrator, because you're not doing it all alone. But without you, a lot of this stuff obviously wouldn't get done. So I know the board appreciates the efforts you're putting forth, and hopefully the town does too. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next topic on the agenda is Coast Guard housing plan. We haven't discussed that much, other than voting to square away that piece of land that had to get signed over to the town. Is that complete? Dan, maybe you know?
No, not complete. We have a draft of the legal description that will encompass the in question part of that property with the AGO right now, which is to say this, the federal government. And we actually were lucky enough to get the same attorney that brokered the transaction back in 2000, I want to say 5. So she's well aware of the situation. She's more than happy to help out. So we have part of that description with her. So we're waiting to get her response. And as soon as we do that, we're going to come up with some language we can all agree to. And we move forward to finalizing the deed, get it filed, and then move on to the next step.
All right, good. And then at a future meeting, not too far in the distance, we have to, as a board, we have to start talking about the schedule for this plan and exactly how we implement it and all that.
Another big item that was going to have to go in front of the planning board too.
Right.
With the subdivision plan. So
yeah.
Right.
All right. So more to come on that.
Ongoing.
Yep. Next item on the agenda is special town meeting update. Tony, you want to describe the plans?
Special town meeting Monday night, 7 o'clock start. We have begun, preparing the main hall today. We do need 75 registered voters to attend in order to have a quorum and vote on the one article of the sewer borrowing. Everyone will be required to wear a mask. It really shouldn't be that long of a meeting. I hope. And we have air purifiers. We have, the requirement of wearing a mask. We're asking folks who plan to attend to get tested ahead of time. We have airflow with fans, and we've tried to spread the seats out as best as we can. It's somewhat hard to judge. I don't know if we're going to have 75 people or 150 people. There's only so much space in the room. So right now I have around 150 seats for residents spread out in the main hall. So we're doing everything we can, keeping it quick, keeping the air flowing, keeping masks on, and giving people an opportunity to get a test ahead of time, and to ensure that it's a safe meeting for everyone. So again, I encourage folks to attend. It is a big issue. It's a very important issue for our town. And you should have received a book, the Finance Committee report, by now at your house. I'll be posting through our website the letter that I wrote that's included in that book, and probably will send out a code red call reminding folks of the meeting, and it will be aired on TV, but you do need to be there in order to vote. And we need 75 to have a quorum. So.
Yeah, so I just wanted to reinforce what you said, Tony, that this is a really important vote for the town. And if we don't have 75 people, we don't have a town meeting. So it's a relatively low impact on a Monday night. So I suppose it's like threading a needle, right? We hope we don't have 500 people, but we absolutely need 75 people. So I encourage people to attend and vote on this really important matter. Next item on the agenda is preserving East Point. As folks know, or hopefully know, Board of Selectmen voted on September 8th to use eminent domain to put a conservation restriction on the 12.5 acres as authorized by town meeting last May. And I just wanted to walk through the sequence of events that follow that vote for people so they understand the process. So the sequence of events following the vote authorizing eminent domain for the conservation restriction are the Board of Selectmen adopts the order of intention to take, which includes an estimate of the damages. That's done. Notice of adoption is sent forthwith to the property owner, in this case Northeastern, by registered mail with a copy of the order. And a notice is also physically posted in conspicuous places on the property. Both of those are also complete. The order must be recorded with the plan within 10 days of adoption. That has been done as well. And the petition to take must be filed in Essex Superior Court within 10 days of the recording. That is complete. The next steps are the court handles all objections, if there are any. And then a commission is appointed 30 to 60 days after any objections are resolved, if there are any objections. And then the commissioners hold a hearing approximately 6 to 10 months after the filing of the petition to resolve. So that's the basic outline of the process that we're now started. That's all I had on preserving of East Point. I don't know, Gene, Mark, Tony, you have anything to add?
No, that was a good outline.
All right. We don't have anything else, then the town administrator's report is up next.
So on the agenda is October Farmers Festival. We are confirmed for Saturday, October 9th at Flash Road Park to have a farmers market type festival. We are finalizing the process by which vendors can sign up, and we have secured, generously donated by Ocean View, a bouncy house and a corn maze. We're gonna seek to have music there, and we're just trying to create a Saturday community event. It's kind of our pilot, our test run, that if, successful, and I'm sure it will be, and there'll be things that we can improve upon. The goal would be to run some type of farmers market, throughout the spring, summer, fall, either once a month or twice a month or every other month, something of that nature, where we have so many artists and farmers, craft folks in town that I have no doubt we'll be able to get a number of tables there. And we're trying to create, an opportunity to bring your kids and have them jump on the house or go through the corn maze at the same time, and kind of enjoy the late morning, early afternoon. So we are confirmed, more to come. We will put out more information out about that, how to sign up and what the specific times are and what to expect. But it's going to be October 9th at Flash Road, 3 Saturdays from now. And it should be a tremendous event. I have a couple other updates that are not on the agenda. We talked about solar and the LED project. The RNAV letter that we talked about at the last meeting is on our website. And I'd like to share my screen because you can now sign on to that letter. Let's see. This is the town website. If you go to community and to RNAV study, it'll bring you to the PDF of the letter and the recent B738 approach. The noise complaint number is right here, as well as link to other information. This big red click button here is how to sign on to the letter. So if you click here, it'll bring you to the next screen where you can actually see the letter, and you can enter your first, last name, address, and sign now. And then what we will do, we're asking for folks to do this by October 15th. And what we will do is we will attach the complete list of supporters to our letter when we send it into Massport. That is, we just tonight, I believe if I go scroll here, isn't updated yet, but I know a press. Okay, so a press release went out tonight. It's right here on the main page. It's also pushed through Twitter and Facebook, that if you click on the link, this article here talks about what we're trying to accomplish with this letter and how to, and it has a link to click to support the letter right here. So it would bring you to that same page.
Outstanding.
And I can confirm it works, because while you talked, I just signed it.
There you go. Perfect.
And I'll also point out that I got there by using the search button at the top. I just typed in RNAV.
Perfect.
So you don't have to remember, people don't have to remember the clicks you just guided them through.
That's great.
I find that search button very helpful.
Yeah, I love it.
improvement on the website.
It's really proactive.
As Mark, Selectman Cohen had mentioned, Flash Road and Spring Road courts are underway. We got, I believe, the basketball hoops for for Spring Road should have been delivered today to the DPW. So we should be preparing the forms for those this week to next week and have those hoops up potentially next week. The benches are built. We'd like to do a ribbon cutting event, maybe a 3-point contest of the Board of Selectmen. But we should be opening, those should be up. I know I'm sorry that, we apologize that it's been so delayed, but those hoops just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. But hope they were supposed to be delivered today.
Well, as you know, Tony, I spent 15 years as a high school referee, basketball referee. So I'll be glad to referee any games that you guys want to put together.
All right. I played my whole game above the rim. That's why I needed the 7-foot rim.
And then just lastly, the Attorney General's office has responded to the some of the articles that were voted and approved at last year's annual town meeting. Article 13, which is the general bylaws that establish the fiscal year spending limits, was approved. Our zoning bylaw amendments for marijuana was approved. It did have some comments there to consult with town council. And I know Dan Scripp has already received a copy of that. And they essentially approved that that bylaw. The non-compostable shopping bag reduction bylaw was approved. And then the wastewater bylaw, the tree bylaw, and the wetlands protection bylaw and the animal bylaw were all requested an extension to review those. So we'll still have another month or so to the end of October to have a response from the AG on those other items.
Sounds good. I'm excited for the Farmers Festival in October. Coming right on the heels of the 2 movie nights. It feels good to come together as a community. And again, thanks to the Ocean View for stepping up yet again. So that's great.
Yes, yes. So that's everything I have.
All right. Any, Gene or Mark, any questions for Tony before we move on to Citizens Forum?
Nope, I'm all set.
All right, Citizens Forum then. We have anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat. So if anyone wants to unmute themselves, just please announce your name and address and your comment or question.
Hello, hello. I don't know if you
Yeah.
can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Oops, you just muted yourself again, George. George, you're muted. We heard you for a moment.
How about that?
That's good.
All right, I thank you very much, George Verhoeven, 64 Lennox Road, Nahant. Thank you very much, Tony, for that petition. I got it this morning. It works well. I signed it. I had a couple of my neighbors sign it also. I actually brought the computer over to them and taught them how to use it. And that's pretty good coming from me. Thank you very much. You had mentioned about the tennis courts and basketball courts over in Big Nahant. What's the story about Little Nahant and the little playground they have down there? What's the update on that?
So what I really want to do is organize a neighborhood meeting.
Yep, you mentioned that. That sounds good.
But, I could use some help with that. I don't have like a group email chain or anything like that for, the neighbors in the area. But I would like to meet with them and, kind of look at, what our budget is, the size constraint for the area of the, the new piece that will be added to that playground, and kind of explain to the neighborhood what options there are.
I could talk to my neighbor across the street who has a young child and see if I can't get her to talk to some of her friends that are around the neighborhood here that have young children, and maybe get her to contact you to get in, to get together as a group with some of her friends that have the children that might be able to give you some input as to what they might need or want, and give you a little better input than what I, can give you, or, what I would want, because I don't have any children, unfortunately, or grandchildren around here right now. I could maybe give you that, give them the input, and maybe have them give you a call and just say, George told you to give you a call, and maybe you could work with them. Maybe they could give you some input. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, even a collection of emails. And
Okay.
I would publicize it publicly, but it's always better to, if I can send an email to a group saying, just so we're going to do a Zoom call to discuss the options on X night at Y time.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Well, these people are a lot younger than I am, so they're a lot more adapt to emails and all that stuff like that. So what I could do is talk to Pat and Michelle Collins, are their last names, and maybe they could shoot you an email, and they could work with their groups and so on and so forth, and they'd be able to communicate a lot better than I could with the emails and so on and so forth, and and get a group together a lot faster than I could, and coordinate stuff a lot easier than I could, and get things done. And maybe I could sit in the background and kind of direct them or whatever. I don't know, but maybe I could just put you guys together, and you could go from there.
Mhm.
That would be good. Because if I had children, I would like to be involved also. But maybe I could just try to put them together. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then at least I tried.
Yes.
But again, I'd like to thank you for all the work you've done. And one more question: is anybody, meaning you or any of the selectmen, I'm hoping that Bob D'Amico is going to be on that Zoom call tomorrow with the FAA, I'm believing, or the CAC.
Bob definitely will be on there. Dan Script's going to be on there as well. Any
Right.
of the selectmen planning on going? 5:30 Zoom call.
I'm gonna try to do that.
I'm gonna watch too. I don't know if I'm gonna say anything. I'm gonna try to say something. I noticed that with the new noise abatement office, with all the new equipment they have as far as taking the calls, and now that instead of sending home a paper copy, they are now doing email. And with all the new stuff they have, sending when you want to email and look at stuff via the computer, they actually have me logged in. My earliest complaint goes back to 1995 in the house that I am right now. So I am pretty up to date as far as where all these flight patterns are. I watch them all the time. Unfortunately, like I told you, I have a bad back, so I don't get out as much as I would like to. So I see where all these planes are flying and so on and so forth. So I really, know a lot about where they are, and I have been complaining an awful lot about the plane. So it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. But I as you can tell, when I first started talking about the first night, sometimes I get a little excitable, and so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and ruin it for other people. So I would like to try to say something, but I don't want to say too much, because sometimes having a little bit of information can get a little bit dangerous. So again, I would like to say something for the people of the residents of the Hearts, to try to keep this noise away from us, because we have enough noise as it is. So if I have a chance to say something, I would like to, like I say, being a complaintive for the last almost 30 years, for Pete's sakes, I think I have something to say about it. And so again, if I do, I will be short, and I will be direct and to the point, and I don't think I will hurt the cause. But again, I'd like to give you kudos for what you've done so far. And I think you guys are doing a great job and continue doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Tony, I've got a couple questions, follow up on George's suggestions. I noticed coming into Nahant, right at the end of the causeway, there's new equipment up on the light pole there.
Yeah, I noticed that too, Mark.
And I'm not sure if that's Massport equipment or if it's the traffic count. I'm not sure what it is. Do you know what it is?
It looked like a traffic count.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can check into that. It could be Massport information. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know, but you usually with a traffic counter, don't they usually have a piece of rubber going across the street, or is it maybe it's something new where they have an infrared thing? But when I saw that, Mark, the first thing I thought was, Massport. Because my wife
that's
and I
right.
said that, and I said, that looks like a Massport thing to me. But that's funny.
And the second thing on the Little Nahant Playground, I would suggest, Tony, you reach out to Mary Brown, who happens to be a Little Nahant resident, and her sister, Erin DeGrande. Both of those people were instrumental in getting all of the playgrounds in Nahant built a number of years ago through fundraising and et cetera. So I think Mary Brown and her sister, Erin DeGrande, would be a great contribution
Yes.
there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. The Little Nahant Improvement Association.
All right, I'll might need your help getting their contact info, but yeah, I'll definitely reach out.
I'll send it to you. I have it.
Yeah, and again, I'll mention it to Michelle Collins to see what she has to say, and I'll tell her to send you her email stuff and see what she can give you for information also, Tony. Again, thank you very much. You've been great help.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime I can help out, I'm more than willing to help out. I wish like I say, my back wasn't bothering me. I would have done my own writing petition, but as it is, I'll go around my neighborhood and bring my computer and show them how to get onto the website and have them do it on themselves. So I'll do whatever I can to help out.
Thank you, George.
Well, you're more than welcome. Like I say, I love the town. Been here almost 60 years, so I wouldn't go any other place. Again, thank all you guys.
Thank you.
I know you don't do it for the pay.
That's true. Anything else in the chat? Anyone else on the Zoom call that wants to go live? All right, if that's it, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Antrim, aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Tony.
Take care, and we'll see you all in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.